Hi, so welcome everyone. Lovely to have you this evening for our Yin and Restorative practice. A little bit of meditation thrown in there as well. I thought we could make a start lying in Shavasana this evening. So grab one or two blankets for underneath the back of the head, or a big cushion if you have one, and either a bolster or pillow off your bed for underneath the knees. And then just swing yourself around so that the bolster is either underneath the knees or underneath the thighs. And then just bring the pillow in underneath the back of the head. So you really want to support the neck so the shoulders can relax. So wiggling everything into the right spot. And then just extending the legs out along the bolster or over your pillow. And so using something underneath the thighs is just going to help settle that lumbar spine down into the floor. So I don't know about you guys, other than the odd walk here and there, spending a lot of time at home sitting down, and so lower back is getting a little bit compressed and grumpy at me. So kind of do a bit of a lower back care class this evening, just to help open it up, create a bit of space, and kind of soothe those lower back muscles. So you want to take the feet out, either hip width or mat width, let the feet just fall out to the sides. And then either resting the arms at the sides of your body or placing the hands onto your belly. And check that you're not going to get cold while you are here. So if you think you might need to grab some big socks or pop a blanket over your body, grab a jumper or something, just make sure that you are warm and comfortable and that everything feels like it's well supported here on your mat. And then settle in once you find that comfortable position to be in. Allow the eyes to close down. And then tune into your breath. If the hands are resting on the belly, tuning into that movement beneath the palms. If the arms are at the sides of the body, just feeling that rise and that fall in the belly and the chest. So just giving yourself this time to arrive on your mat and get into the zone a little bit. Trying to remove any distractions by closing down the eyes. It's always a little harder when we are practicing at home. We really have to make that conscious effort to switch on from what is going on around us. Making your own little bubble, your own yoga zone. So perhaps over the next few rounds of breath, you just start to slow your breathing rhythm down. Slowing it down by drawing your focus to your exhale. And starting to slow the exhale down. So all the air flowing out through the nose, ribs, chest and belly softening down and releasing. Really trying to empty the lungs, arriving at that point where you've finished your exhale, but haven't quite started the next inhale just yet. And then eventually the body asks for that next inhalation, and it's naturally a little deeper than it was before. Feeling that expansion, and then as you exhale, that release. And we're giving ourselves this time to arrive and let go physically, and to arrive and let go mentally. Letting go of whatever your day has held for you. All the while, that slow, steady breath flowing in and out through the nose. With each exhale, releasing a little more tension from your body. Relaxing the muscles of the face. Feeling the shoulders melting down into your mat. Finding release in the whole body. Using this time to reset our overall rhythm. Reduce our stress levels. And to tune into the body. The feedback, the messages, the language of the body. So that beautiful language not spoken by words, but instead through our intuition, our urges, our cravings. Tuning into that feedback. Tuning into it so we can make any adjustments we need to make in order to bring ourselves back to our calm, grounded, and balanced self. So every exhale, feeling the body become a little heavier, a little more relaxed. Letting go physically, letting go mentally of your day. And this is our time to re-energize and refresh. To choose how we want to move into and then move through the rest of our evening. So letting go of the past, anything that's already happened, already been and gone. And letting go of the future, what might happen. And just finding yourself present. Feeling your body on the mat. Feeling the various surfaces beneath your body. Being aware of the objects and the space around your body. And just allowing yourself to access that place of deep relaxation. Challenging aspect of this practice is switching off that voice in the head that wants to replay every moment of your day. And switching off the part of the mind that wants to plan for each different future, each possible future. We're starting to quieten those aspects of the mind that deal with the past and the future, and instead draw ourselves into the calm of the present. And just giving yourself 5 more deep breaths where you are. Expansive breaths, filling up belly, ribs, and chest. Exhaling to release. And then once you get to the end of your 5th exhale, invite that little bit of movement back into the fingers and back into the toes. And then start to roll out your wrists, your ankles. And when you're ready, reaching the arms up overhead, really giving yourself a full body stretch there, reaching away from fingertips to toes. And then as you exhale, hugging that right knee into your chest, just leaving that left leg over the cushion, interlacing the hands, and then using the weight of the arms to draw that knee in towards your body. So decompressing the lumbar spine, so those kind of joints in the curved part of the lower back. Feeling the lower back muscles sinking down into the floor. And you might find that your knee doesn't really stay in towards the chest, that it moves out to the side a little bit towards the rib cage. That's fine if that happens. It means you're relaxing your shoulders and just taking the body where it wants to go rather than where you think it should be going. So take out any effort. Yin poses are characterized by their lack of strength work and balance. And to an extent, the effort that we're making to hold ourselves. We want to find as much ease in the body as we can. So keeping that right knee drawing in towards you, the interlace and the shoulders dropping down should be enough to kind of keep that leg hugging in towards your body. And while you're here, you might want to stay still or start a gentle movement side to side, or maybe a circle, stirring into that right hip. So a few circles one way and a few the other way. And then bringing that knee back to center. And just releasing your left hand down either alongside your body or bringing the left hand onto your left hip. Take your right hand to the inside of your right leg. Grab hold of your ankle and then just let the knee open out to the side. So we want that knee either in line with the hip bone or slightly higher. And once you hold on to your ankle, again, allowing the shoulders to relax and feeling that stretch into the front of the pelvis and inner thigh. You're welcome to close the eyes back down. And then turning the focus back to your breathing, making that conscious effort to slow everything down, any movements you're making, your breathing rhythm. Slow, steady breaths, just helping you to enter that relaxation mode in your body. I'm going to take another 5 deep breaths here, just starting to ease into the connective tissue around the pelvis. In Yin, we are dealing with the web of fascia or connective tissue through the body, and it makes up about 20% of our body weight. So, it's a huge network through the body, and it's as important to look after as our nervous system and our circulatory systems are. So, especially around the hips and lower back, where we get a lot of tension and tightness from immobility throughout the day. So, we've got one more deep breath here. Inhale and exhale. Use your hand, draw that knee back in towards your chest. This time, we're going to interlace the hands behind that right thigh and start to lift the toes up towards the ceiling. So you're just finding your edge. Your edge might be further down with the knee bent. It might be higher up with the legs straight. All of our bodies are different. So if it looks different, to what it looks like for me, then don't worry about that. We're not trying to achieve any particular aesthetic with these poses. Instead, we're asking the body to come towards its edge so we can hold and breathe there and create space, hopefully melting away some of that tension. So let your foot relax. We want to be passive. It will be somewhere in between pointed and flexed. Lower, middle, upper back just resting down into the ground. Check that there's a little gap between upper and lower teeth. And just breathing here into this hamstring stretch. So working with these big muscle groups that run the back of the thigh, 3 on each side. Keeping a micro bend in your knee, even if the hamstrings are more open, my bendy friends. Otherwise, work with a deeper bend in the knee, wherever your edge is. And then let's take 3 more deep breaths on this side. Inhale and exhale. Last deep breath in. As you exhale, bending that knee, sliding that right leg back out over your bolster or pillow. Bring the hands to the tummy and take 3 deep breaths there. Inhale, expand. Exhale, release. Breathing in. Breathing out. Last full breath. And then exhale, release, reach the arms back up overhead. Stretch out your body. If that means you're arching your spine and your ribs away from the floor, then that's fine. Create as much length as you can. And then settle the body back down. Interlace the hands around that left knee. Maybe with the other thumb on top, so just changing the interlace that you're working with. And then again, the weight of the arms are all we need to draw that knee into the chest. We're trying to switch off any muscles here. So because we're bending the knee, they are contracting or shortening, but we don't want them to be gripping and pulling. So try and relax the muscles around the hip. If your knee goes out to the side a little bit, that's fine. And again, just focusing on that release in your lower back. So that decompression of the spine. Vertebrae, the joints in the spine are compressive joints. Each vertebrae has a spongy disc between it and the next one. And when we lie down and decompress, we allow those discs to reabsorb all the nutrients they need, allow them to rehydrate. So I've just got one more deep breath here, that knee hugging into the chest. And then you can start a little bit of movement. And whether it's just a gentle side to side, or maybe you're stirring that knee round and round. Just starting to ease into that left hip. Again, getting the blood flowing there. Just taking 2 more breaths here with that little bit of hip release. And then bringing the knee back towards you. That left hand coming to the inside of the leg, reaching down to grab hold of the ankle or the shin, and then just letting that leg open out to the side. But see how my knee is actually quite high up. So the knee, if I drew a line across, is level with my floating ribs. So you want to make sure it's at hip height or a little bit higher. So we get that release around the hips, but at the same time, we're keeping our pelvis quite balanced. So that right side of the body hasn't tilted up away from the floor. Right arm can rest wherever you like it, at the side of the body, onto the belly. And then tuning back into your breathing. Using the exhale to release and find space. It's a constant process of scanning through your body. Also scanning through that inner mental landscape. So we note the areas of physical resistance to the stretch, but we also note the areas of mental resistance as well. You've probably heard me say this before, but it's usually the poses that are the hardest to be in physically and mentally that we need the most. Offering us some release in the part of the body that for us is particularly tight. We've just got one more deep breath in with the leg wide. Use your hands if you like. Exhale, draw that knee back into your body. Slide the hands behind the thigh. And then keeping the foot nice and relaxed, just start to open the back of that left knee, coming into your hamstring stretch on this left side. So again, the foot is relaxed for this variation. We're a little more passive. Some of you might have the fingertips a little bit higher onto the calf muscle, but make sure that you're able to let the shoulder blades drop down to the floor. If you're happier just keeping the arms low and trying to soften the shoulders, and keep them behind the thigh instead. Either working with a micro bend in the knee or a slightly deeper bend, depending on where it is you feel the stretch. If you feel any sharp pulling or twinging at the knee joint, that you definitely need to ease off and bend. And so we can differentiate between, I don't want to say a good pain, it's not a good pain, there's no such thing, an intensity in the muscles. So an intensity or kind of being in that challenging part of a stretch, which, as soon as we come out of the stretch, the body feels great. We feel that space. That's a good space to be in. Intensity is fine. But what we want to avoid is any sharpness around the joints. So any twinging, any pinching. Those are signs of negative pain, signs that something isn't quite right in the body. And let's take 3 more deep breaths here on this side. Last deep breath in, As you exhale, bending that knee, sliding that leg out along your mat, letting it rest onto your cushion, and then placing the hands back onto the belly. This is our rebound pose. So in between stretches on the right side and left side, you just take a pause and absorb what happens in the body. And you might feel the blood kind of flowing into that left hip or back of the left leg, where you've created that space, where you've helped to melt some of that tension in the muscles and in the connective tissues as well. And taking one more full breath. Inhaling and exhaling. And then just floating the arms up overhead. We've got this last full body stretch. And then step the feet onto your cushion or floor. Roll yourself over onto the side of your body. And then ease yourself all the way up off of your mat. And we will just make a little adjustment with our supports. I'm going to be coming down onto the belly into our Sphinx pose. So Sphinx pose is an extension. So again, we're going to be working on releasing the spine when we come into it. So you want to pop your pillow or your bolster across the mat. And if you're using a pillow, what you can do if it's a bit flat is actually fold it in two. So let me grab one here and I'll show you what I mean. So if you don't have a bolster, you just kind of fold or roll up your pillow and then lie on it before it has a chance to unfold itself. So you can do that with a pillow if you're using one. And then we are going to take the bolster and just pop it down, pop our ribs down onto it. So it's going to be just underneath the chest, coming down onto the mat. And you want the hip bones and pubic bone just sinking down into the floor. So the bolster or pillow is underneath the floating ribs. If you find you've got too much height underneath the front of your body, try a rolled up blanket instead, so you can adjust what you're using underneath the body until you find the right height for you. So my friends with the sensitive lower backs, take your feet a little bit wider. Mat width is fine. Otherwise, where you initially position the legs and feet is usually what feels right for your back anyway. And then we've got the elbows directly underneath the shoulders. So we don't want to feel like we have to hold ourselves here too much. So to take a little bit of the work out of it, we've aligned shoulders over the elbows, so we use that joint and bone alignment. And then we can just let the shoulders soften. Draw the chin down towards the chest. Maybe even closing down your eyes. Every inhale that you take, imagine or visualize your spine getting longer. Feeling that lift, that elongation. And as you exhale, imagine your muscles becoming more relaxed. So when we come into Sphinx pose in our Hatha practice or in our flow classes, it's a lot more active. We're pushing the forearms down and trying to lift the chest up. In this variation, we want to be passive. So legs are relaxed, head might drop down. And we might feel like we're sinking the chest down towards the floor. So it's finding that balance between effort and ease. We need to make a certain amount of effort to stop ourselves just from collapsing down onto the mat completely. We maintain some form, some alignment. We're also kind of avoiding this really active, tense variation of the pose. So just finding that happy midpoint between the two. Breathing into the back of your body. Expansive inhalation. Exhales to release a little more. And just giving yourself 3 final deep breaths here. Last full deep breath. And then transitioning out of here slowly, using your arms for support, maybe bringing your elbows onto your cushion, and then just pressing yourself up so you can slide the knees in. And we're going to sit with the knees nice and wide, about mat width apart. And you can choose whether you use any other supports here or not. So if the knees are a little bit tender, grab a blanket and pop it into the back of the knee joints. So just pulling up the neat edge of your blanket right into the backs of the knees to create space. If you find it's the top of the feet that feel a little bit sore, pop a blanket underneath the feet. And then you can choose where that you have your bolster or pillow underneath the elbows and the forehead. So whether you want the sense of space for the face and the chest, whether you would like to turn everything long ways down the center of your mat, laying the belly and the chest onto the bolster and just turning your head to the side. And of course, you can do the unsupported version of this without anything underneath your body, just by coming down onto the forehead. So have a little play with what variation works best for you this evening. Sometimes it's really nice just to use these supports and then relax your body. So getting the props to do the work for you. So coming into child's pose, one as a beautiful counter pose for our Sphinx pose. So lovely counter pose for our back bending, for any back bending that we do. But also because of the relief it offers us in the lower back and around the hips. And this doesn't necessarily mean it is comfortable for everyone. Sometimes it can be quite the opposite, particularly if there is tightness around the pelvis or stiffness in the ankles or the knees. So if you need to move and change variations throughout it, please do. So don't sit there and suffer in silence. Again, differentiating between intensity in the pose and negative pain, which we want to avoid completely. Wherever you are, just allowing the eyes to close down. Keep sending the breath into the back of your body. Every exhale melting down a little closer to your mat, to your props. And again, scanning through, just looking out for any parts of the body that might be switching on when they don't need to. Your shoulders, muscles around the neck, the upper back. Tune in to the sounds that you are aware of. Perhaps you're playing music, perhaps you can hear someone in the other room, perhaps you're tuning into the sound of your own breath, perhaps you can hear your heartbeat. Just letting all of those sounds wash over you. Giving yourself another 10 deep breaths. Just moving into your 3 last deep breaths in your child's pose. And once you finish that third exhale, supporting yourself with the hands, just easing yourself up out of your child's pose. Clear your mat off in front of you. You can move any bolsters and blankets out the way. And just come over onto the hands and the knees. Extend one leg back and just open up the back of the knee. So just getting the blood flowing back into the toes, feet, ankles and knees. Give yourself a couple on each side. Lengthening there. And then we're going to keep the backs of the knees nice and open for our Anahatasana, our puppy pose, coming back into another heart opener. So keeping your hips over the knees, that can be quite hard to judge when you don't have a mirror or someone helping you to position the hips. So just do your best. Just start in your all fours, and then you'll be pretty close, if not there. And we're going to drop straight down onto the elbows. So again, starting with the elbows lined up underneath your shoulders. That means the hips haven't come forward and they haven't gone back towards the heels. And then we are just going to pull the tummy in a little bit and start sliding the elbows forward. Once there's no more kind of space left to move into, you let your forehead release down And then you start melting the heart towards the ground. So I find this variation a little more pleasant to hold in a yin practice. In a hatha practice, we would have the palms of the hands down and the forearms lifted. So a more active variation of this pose. But here we're feeling the sit bones lifting up towards the sky. We're feeling the chest melting down towards the floor. And those of you who are slightly more open in the chest, shoulders, and upper back might feel as though the nose or your face is getting squished after a few breaths. If that's the case, and the natural progression feels like coming onto your chin, and then you can make that little transition. But we want the sensation to stay around the chest, so lengthening the pectorals, opening into the shoulders, the armpits. We don't want any discomfort in the neck. And then really tuning into the sound of the breath here. Tuning into the sensation. Where do you feel this release happening? And then spreading your awareness out through the rest of the body. Long exhalations really work a treat in this pose to help us release and open the heart space a little more. Last 3 deep breaths here. And at the end of that third breath, keeping your forehead down on the mat, just starting to tuck your tailbone underneath, rounding your back, and then start to slide your elbows one at a time, a little bit further back until they're underneath the shoulders. Tuck the chin, tuck the tailbone, and just round here for a moment. You might feel a little bit stuck coming out of this one, very normal. And then taking one hand underneath your shoulder, other hand underneath your shoulder, rounding into a cat stretch. So really feeling that rounding in those muscles that were just contracting. And then sitting the hips back onto the heels. Taking the hands forward, dropping the chin down and spreading your shoulder blades apart. And then we'll inhale to slide the hands back and lift the chest. And exhale, slide the hands forward, drop the chin down. Breathing in, drawing the hands back, opening heart center. Exhale, releasing chin to chest. Just a couple more rounds there in your own time. Getting that little bit of blood flow and movement back into the body. Last deep breath in and out. And then just coming back to center, sitting your hips off to the side and swinging your legs around in front of you, just giving them a bit of a shake out, a little bit of a roll from side to side. And we're going to get ourselves set up for a slightly longer relaxation this evening. So at the end, we can wind it up with a few minutes of seated meditation as well. So I wanted to leave us plenty of time for that. So I'm just going to use what we have around us at home in the place of things like blocks and bolsters. So if you do have a bolster or a slightly bigger pillow, use that for underneath your spine. So again, you can kind of roll your pillow up, maybe tie it with your mat strap, or just hold it until you've kind of lain down on the floor. Have a blanket for underneath the back of the head. So that is going to go on top of your cushion. So this to elevate the spine and help open the chest. Add on your extra layers. Make sure that you are nice and warm, socks and jumpers and things like that. And then we're going to go for Supta Baddha Konasana, so reclining bound ankle pose from this place. So this is the heart opening aspect. This is the hip opening aspect of it. So with your other pillows or cushions, you can either fold them in half and pop them underneath each knee. So do it this way so you can see. Soles of the feet together, knees out to the sides. Just popping one under each side. If you've just got one, you slide it underneath your leg. Pull it in nice and close and then let the knees open out to the sides. It's quite good with a pillow because it's spongy, so it kind of lifts up to support the legs. And if you've got blankets and other cushions, just use what you have around you to pad up the knees. So you feel a gentle stretch, a gentle release, but nothing intense. As we get into these longer holds, we want it to be deep relaxation. So when you are ready to lie yourself down, sit with your hips a little kind of way away from your pillow so that the edge of the pillow or bolster goes into your floating ribs. Even that might be a little high. You might want to wriggle down a little bit. And then pull your blanket in underneath the back of the head so we're supporting the curve of the neck there. And then letting the knees open out to the sides, supported on your cushion. And then we're just going to take the hands down either sides of the body, lift the hips up, maybe scoop the tailbone underneath so you can use the hands to help kind of move the buttocks down and free up your lower back. And then last little touch would be a blanket to cover your body. So wrap up warm. There's nothing wrong with being super warm and super snuggly for your relaxation. And either closing down the eyes or popping on your eye bag. And just taking a moment to tune into how that feels in your body. Do you need to slide the feet further down? Do you need to pull them closer in towards you? Do you need to adjust pillows and blankets and things like that to get them into just the right spot for you? And then once you find that space where you are able to surrender down into your supports, and that's just the space we want to be. If it still feels like you're holding on somewhere or not quite able to relax, then just make a little adjustment. You might decide that you don't want anything underneath your back. You might want to lie with your back flat. If you do, then that's fine. Now, once you do find that space, closing down the eyes, relaxing your jaw, softening that space between the eyebrows. And then just feeling your body melting down into those supports that you're using. Allowing yourself this time to be still physically. Tune back into your breathing rhythm. And to allow yourself that deep, restorative relaxation. We can't change what is going on around us, but we can change our response to it. And how we respond very much depends on how we feel at any particular moment. Whether we are busy, anxious, overwhelmed, fearful, or whether we are feeling trusting, content, accepting, at peace, at ease. And there will be moments where we fluctuate from one end of that spectrum to the other, experiencing all those emotions and feelings along the way. As we drop even deeper into our rest, into our relaxation, we blur the line between our body and the supports beneath us. We feel like the body is melting down into those supports, becoming heavier and more relaxed with every exhalation. arriving at that place where we feel at peace and content with what each moment brings us. Calm center within. When we are in this space, feeling safe, balanced, comfortable, connected, and at ease, we are at our most resilient. Our true nature is calm, whole, and peaceful. And when we know this, we can gain control of negative experiences. We can call on this feeling of harmony when we feel overwhelmed. Deeper and deeper into this relaxation. Until we no longer feel the body, we just feel a sensation. We feel that energy within the body, pulsing of life in the body. And then bit by bit, if you can land back in the body, feeling the points of contact that you have with the surfaces and the supports beneath you. Outside edges of the feet, outer thighs, buttocks, back of the body, back of the head resting on your blanket or cushion. And then tuning back into that space around your body. And just take your time to move back into that space, stretching out the arms, and then maybe using hands to help draw the knees back up towards each other. Stretching out your body, and then rolling over to curl up on your side. Bringing yourself up to a comfortable seat from there. You might wish to keep your eyes closed. We're going to take the hands into Chin Mudra. We join the index fingers and the thumbs together. We stretch out the arms, just letting the hands or the arms rest onto the knees. 3 fingers extended. Sitting tall, pressing the arms into the legs to lift your chest. And then engaging our throat lock by drawing the chin down towards the chest. We are present. We are at peace. We are enough. Observing the flow of your breath. And taking this time to decide how you would like to show up for the rest of your evening, how you would like to show up tomorrow morning. Taking some of what you have cultivated on your mat with you into the rest of your day. And let's all draw the hands together at the heart. Breathing in to sit tall. Exhaling the head down towards the heart center. Sealing your practice with this gesture of gratitude. And the divine within me honors the divine within you. Namaste. Thank you, everyone. Lovely to have you all. Thank you so much for joining me.